What's up, guys? Welcome back to Strawberry Lumps and welcome back to the Nerd Box. Today, we're going to be continuing my Little Banned Books Week series, and we're going to have a little chat. Book 2, we need to talk about Harry Potter. As I'm sure most of you know, Harry Potter is one of the most infamously banned books in the United States, thanks to the suggestions of practicing witchcraft. And as most of the world knows, the new Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movie is coming out soon. Which means that J.K. Rowling has been revealing all sorts of new information about the wizarding world. Mostly about schools. Yeah, we're talking about new schools in the wizarding world. Now here's the thing. Everything she wrote about the new schools is a load of crap, and we need to talk about it. So you and I are just going to sit here and we're going to go through all of these new schools and we're going to talk about it. My main source is Pottermore. So I'm going to link all of my sources in the description below, and I'm going to mostly link to Pottermore and all of that fun stuff. Before we jump into it though, I definitely want to point out that originally on Pottermore, the description read that there are 11 wizarding schools around the world, and now it's 11 long established and prestigious wizarding schools in the world, which implies that there are more than 11. But I see you trying to backpedal, Joanne. I see you. You can't hide from me. So let's just jump into it. So, the first school we're going to be talking about is Mahotokoro, the Japanese school for witchcraft and wizardry. And my main problem with this school, aside from the fact that it's the only really prestigious wizarding school being located in Asia, I mean, what about people in Singapore? What about people in Malaysia? What about people in China? For crying out loud, what about people in China? Where do they go? It's just, come on, Joanne! You can do better than this! Okay, so aside from all of that, my main issue with this school is the implications of, the robes that they use are enchanted, and they grow along with you as you progress through your years in school, and they change color depending on your grades. I think it's pink. It starts out being pink and they go up to gold. So that's a thing. But apparently, if your robes turn white, it means that you started practicing dark magic and that you've broken the Japanese wizarding code. Here's my thing about that. The most recognized symbol for white in Japan is death. It's mostly seen at funerals and all of that sort of thing. But here's the thing. It's not an inherently bad or evil color just because it represents death. It's really, really prominent in Japanese culture to represent purity. It's sacred. And just because white represents death, it doesn't mean that the rest of the symbolism and its cultural meaning immediately gets thrown out the window. White is a pure color. It makes no sense that the robes would turn white and that would immediately mean something bad when white symbolizes purity in Japan. It makes no sense. Moving on, we're going to talk about Beauxbatons. Beauxbatons, as far as anybody knows, is probably most likely based in France. But according to Pottermore, it accepts students from France, Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain. That's 6 countries, and at least 3 different languages. So many language barriers. Holy shit. Either they hire a shit ton of professors to each teach in a distinct language, or you have to speak one universal language, which I'm guessing is French, in order to be able to attend Beauxbatons. And asking students from Spain, students from Portugal to learn French exclusively so they could attend a prestigious school is crap. It's a lot of crap, and I don't like it. So that's my issue with Beauxbatons. Durmstrang. Next up is Durmstrang. Durmstrang is the most mysterious school of the bunch, which I have absolutely no problem with, to be honest. I mean, it makes them edgy and cool and mysterious. It's safe to assume that they're somewhere around Northern Europe and or Scandinavia, though I've been playing around with the idea that they could be based in Iceland, and I really like that idea, which is really cool. But that's just a headcanon, that's just an idea. Nobody knows where Durmstrang is. It's super duper mysterious. So, assuming that Durmstrang is situated again in Northern Europe and or Scandinavia, then that brings the grand total to prestigious schools in Europe up to 3. While Asia, the entirety of Asia, has only 1. Africa has only 1. The entirety of North America has only 1. The entirety of South America has only 1. That doesn't make any sense. It's not fair, and it's not right. It's also known as the dumping place for the rest of the world, so if you don't have a specific place where you want to send your kids, you're totally free to send them to Durmstrang. Durmstrang accepts students from all over the world, which again brings up the issue of language barriers. Not everybody speaks English. Not everybody speaks one universal language. You're going to have to hire a lot of teachers in different languages in order to teach all of these kids. It doesn't seem right to me. Something is off. You have to agree with me here that something is off about this, right? Moving on, we're going to be talking about the African school now. Please, for the love of God, if I mispronounce this, you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going by the Pottermore pronunciation key, which it's kind of iffy. So, Wagado. I can't say a whole lot on this one, because I'm not African, nor have I ever been to Africa. I don't know the culture, nor do I know the people. On Pottermore, it's the only description that notes that there are other smaller schools around the continent, which I suppose is good for Africa. Good for them. They're the only goddamn people who actually have their shit together, apparently, and they have other schools. But I mean, considering that this school in particular is one of, if not the largest school on the continent, most people go there. Again, one school for the entire continent? That doesn't seem right to me. Also, if you thought Bobatons was bad, in Africa, Arabic, French, Swahili, and English are just a handful of the languages that are spoken on the entire continent. How are things taught? These are things that need to be taken into consideration. Not everybody in Africa speaks English. Not everybody in Africa speaks French. There are hundreds and maybe even thousands of different African dialects. And to assume that everybody is going to understand one another is naive. It's naive. Alright. Ilvermorny. Ilvermorny is the second school that I have the biggest problem with. There is so much wrong with this school. And I'm not going to go into the cultural appropriation or the historical background of everything, because there are many more qualified people who can talk to you about this. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of a superficial tangent. It's the only exceptionally large wizarding school in the entirety of North America, which constitutes of, according to Pottermore, Canada, the United States, Mexico, Jamaica, and Haiti. Because screw everybody else in the Caribbean, apparently. They can all go to South America, or maybe even Central America. We don't know! We just don't know. Does no one, again, think of the language barriers? Canada is bilingual. They have 2 official languages, the English and the French. I'm pretty sure they speak French in Haiti too, so that's 2 languages. and Mexico. Poor Mexico with the Spanish. So that's 3 languages. And that's not bringing into consideration exactly how multicultural the entire North America is. Both the United States and Canada are really, really famous for being melting pots of cultures. I lived in Canada. I would know. I lived in the United States. I would know. The diversity in the United States is so vast that just that one country alone would need at least 5 schools. You can't just throw everybody into a single school and call it done. The same thing goes for Canada. The Quebecois need their own school. The Inuit up in the north need their own school. Each region would need its own school. And there would be a specifically French school for the people who live in Quebec. My point is, there shouldn't be 1 school per large continent when Europe gets 3. Geopolitics is a thing that should be taken into consideration. I'm just saying. And now, time for my favorite clusterfuck of a school. Castelo Bruxo. It's the South American school. Oh my god, where do I even start with this? Actually, wait, no. I know exactly where to start. Who in their right mind thought that it would be okay to put the only significant school of witchcraft and wizardry in South America, a predominantly Spanish-speaking continent, who thought it was a good idea to put that school in the one country that doesn't speak Spanish? Why? I mean, I understand that Brazil is the largest country in South America, and that the languages are considerably similar. But that doesn't make them the same. If you guys have seen my sister's vlogs on her personal channel, you know that we spent maybe, I'd say about 12 hours, maybe a whole day in Sao Paulo while we were traveling to and from Dubai. I can say from first-hand experience, as somebody who fluently speaks Spanish, that at least 80% of the student population would be looking and squinting at text and saying, see, I think I know what this says, but I'm not entirely sure. Brazil they can't house a school for an entire continent. It makes no sense. They need their own school. They speak their own language. The rest of South America needs a whole nother one. If J.K. Rowling wanted to put a wizarding school in South America in some mystical ruins, isolated from non-magic users, she could have easily put it in Peru and be done with it. That's it. Or honestly, anywhere in the Andes mountain range. I live in Colombia. I live right next to mountains. Stick a mysterious building on a mountain and nobody will question it. At all. At all. It would have been fine. She didn't even try. You didn't even try, Joanne. And there are still regions that have been left on their own. Does Central America get looped in with South America? Do they get their own region, or are they looped in with North America? Apparently not. So it's either they get their own region, or they're looped in with South America, which further enforces my point that the South American wizarding school should not be placed in Brazil. And what about Oceania? Australia is basically its own continent, and they don't even get their own wizarding school? Are you kidding me? They're in the middle of the ocean. Come on! Where else are they gonna go? And what about the Middle East? Or South Asia, for that matter? India, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq. They're not technically a part of Africa. They're part of Afro-Eurasia, which is a whole giant supercontinent. They're stuck in the middle of 2 continents. India is a part of Asia. Pakistan is a part of Asia. Bangladesh is a part of Asia. The Philippines. And they've been left completely in the dust. Obviously, we only know about 8 schools so far. And I'm really hoping that some of these schools that are missing, I really hope that they fill in some of these holes. And I really, really hope that they have more thought put into them than the ones that have already been revealed. I have a big problem with all of these schools. Some more than others, obviously, because I'm more educated in, and I know from firsthand experience. I can't pretend to know a whole lot about Japanese culture, or African culture for that matter. But I know that there are people just as angry as I am. And I want to keep this discussion alive. I want to keep it going. So talk to me about it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. So now that I've calmed down a little bit, I'm going to do my outro. If you like this video and all of my rage, give that like button a tap and maybe the subscribe button too. I would definitely suggest looking into the description of this video because I have some really interesting, I have at least a interesting link on schools in North America and how they should and could be distributed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!